What's up, folks? I'm Odd, by the way, and we're back again, actually, with the 3 random color challenge, which is kind of an adapted form of a traditional challenge where people usually use markers, except now we have the whole spectrum of digital color to work with here. So like every single possible color. But I thought that we would add a little bit of a twist and try our hand at making a hobby for a character. Do a couple rolls or just do one, and then make a character based off of both this hobby, this thing that they like to do, and the color palette, which I think would be interesting because a lot of things you would associate colors with. So it'd be interesting to see if we can maybe get a character that has a particular hobby, but have kind of a different or varied color palette to them, if that makes any sense. Right, so I'm going to randomize a hobby for our potential character here, and obviously they can be whatever else. They can be human, they could be a furry. That's not particularly the focus here. The focus here is what their outfit looks like mainly, and maybe what they're doing. I have a tendency to have a hard time figuring out poses, so I thought that it would be interesting to, I guess, have them doing something, as opposed to just kind of sitting somewhere. I think I tend to give characters like backstories or vibes based off of the color palette, and that's fun. But I just thought that this would be a bit more of an interesting challenge to kind of also incorporate this hobby of the characters. So let's see what we get. Kabaddi. What is? Is this another martial art? A contact team sport played between 2 to 7 players originating in India. Oh, it's mixed sex. What do they do? What do they do? Is it like group martial arts? Hold on. Objective of the game is for a single player on offense, referred to as a raider, to run into the opposing team's half of the court, touch out as many of their players as possible, and return to their own half of course, all without being tackled by the defenders in 30 seconds. So it's a bit like flag football without the football. Points are scored for each player tagged by the raider, while the opposing team earns points for stopping the raider. This sounds like something that you would play on, like, the school ground. This feels like freeze tag or something. This is a sport? Interesting. Well, I'll keep that in mind, but I don't know anything about it, and I would feel weird touching on it without knowing a lot about it. So I guess I'll keep that popped up. But let's look for another one, because that's very specific. Coffee roast. You're not helping. Coffee roasting. Okay. So like a really dedicated hipster barista. It's interesting, but I don't know if there's necessarily a vibe surrounding that. That's just kind of a person. You know, let's go again. Coloring. Well, that's just what I do. Esports. Esports we could do. Esports, at the very least, has a bit more of a vibe surrounding it. Like, you could be like a my brain goes to like e-girl, e-boy, which I mean I know is not necessarily inherent to esports. If anything, it can be the exact opposite, because I don't think a lot of people who are very serious about esports are going through all the effort that like a lot of those particularly popular like aesthetic streamers would do. So, but I mean, obviously you can still do that and have that be your thing. But they're more for like, when I think e-girl, e-boy, I think more like an entertainer. Like a streamer that's just doing stuff, and that their aesthetic and their personality and a little bit of like their looks and their body are a part of what they do. Does that make sense? So maybe e-girl, e-boy isn't necessarily the vibe, but there is something there, at least. I think there's something there to like a digital vibe that we could do with. So we'll touch on kabaddi another day, and coffee roasting. Esports at least has a thing. So we've got esports, and now we're gonna figure out our colors. gray blue, strawberry red, and ochre yellow. Well, okay. Okay, so we're over here in Clip, and these are our selected colors, and obviously we are allowing probably some black and white for lines or anything like that, right? But then also, like, any variant between these colors, any mixture, anything like that. So, like, could have this purple-ish color, and this orangey color. So, I mean, ultimately, these three are kind of primary coded. Like, not totally, obviously, but you can start to see, like, a vibe. A vibe. I keep saying vibe. Vibe doesn't need to be the word of the day. But it is a vibe. I guess. Emerging from the colors here. So, like, you know, maybe you've got, like, this for skin tone. It's great when it gives me a yellow and a red, because that usually means that I can do a human skin tone. Not that I don't mind doing Mises. But, you know, this makes things a little bit easier to some degree. Maybe this for there? Or is that too dark? This ochre actually looks kind of green to me. It actually doesn't look like a yellow, but I guess that's cool. And then maybe like actually darker hair, right? And like red accents. Maybe like, okay, I'm gonna add in a white undertone. I don't know if these eyes are gonna be close enough to you know, this sketch. This is just how I process, okay? You like here. Okay, so we've got like a person, right? Like Sa. And I don't know, maybe they're, I mean, I know they're like esports jerseys to some degree. I don't know if this person is I mean, it's their hobby, so I don't know if they're like a professional or if they just, you know, stream or just do it for fun. But I'm kind of imagining like a cool, but like maybe just like a little tired vibe. Now bring this down a little bit more and we can play around with like colors here. So like that can be our blush tone and stuff like that. You know? And then maybe like even like if I were to get funky with like the lighting or something, I could see like that, maybe like an RGB vibe. Again, with vibe. Why do I keep saying vibe? I don't need to say vibe. But you know what I mean? I think that there's something there, and obviously this is a cruddy colors sketch, but I think that this is the concept that I'm going to run with for this character. And yeah, maybe try kind of a weird, cool lighting situation going on too. Like, why not, right? That sounds fun. Make them a little bit like, maybe a little tired or grumpy. I think that that'd be good, you know, for the esports part of it as well. So yeah, I'm gonna hop over to speed paint voiceover to get this bit more, you know, looking like an actual piece and character. I actually wound up redoing the sketch quite a few times for this. I had a general idea of where I wanted to go with the pose, but the character's face and body type took a few passes, and the outfit, actually. Not that that original outfit concept wasn't riveting. I guess I just didn't know what to do. Usually I wind up drawing it a couple of times to figure out the outfit, but that didn't turn out this time. I didn't need more time for it anyway. Eventually, I thought it would be more fun to have her look like sort of a jock type, a bit more wide set and strong looking. I always liked that sort of subversion of expectations. I saw a few esports players even sporting the Letterman's jacket, so I thought that would be a good route to go down. It's sort of off-shoulder and unbuttoned, like, hey, it can get hot in a game room too, right? At one point, I knew I had settled when I thought it would be cool to have the glow from her LEDs sort of reflecting in her eyes to make them look red, and my mind instantly went to the protagonist of the first gen of Pokemon, who is referred to as Red from Gen 2 on. I didn't even really come to Pokemon from Gen 1, and he is still probably one of my favorite player characters from the series. I just like how intimidating they make him, especially in Gen 2. And somehow I'm not doing a Pokemon drawing and still talking about it. Wow. I guess it is gaming related at least. I spent a lot of time in this drawing on things that were not the character for a character design challenge. I wanted to pose her so she was actively like gaming, if not a little chill and slump back. I wound up just popping in a reference for the keyboard and effectively almost tracing over it. Mainly just wanted the keys to look like in the right layout so I could have her hand hovering over the WASD keys. As I finally got the colors in, there was a big focus on that bright red. I figured that since it's so vibrant, it would make sense to have it be the focus of the piece. I also did a thing where I lowered the opacity on her skin tone to like 30 or 20 and went over a lot of her outfit to make things a bit more cohesive. I did basically wind up using that ochre color as more of a green, sort of mixing the color for her tank with that dark blue and keeping the sleeves closer to the original color. I do like to have some notion of the original palette in these and not just mixing colors until I get what I want. The keyboard and mouse got a bit more of a true version of that dark blue too, as well as some of the darkest parts of her hair. Also, the compression gloves. Those are blue too, but it's a big similarity between artists and gamers here. I actually did have to take more time this time around for breaks myself, because I think I've developed a touch of tendonitis or just a sort of fatigue in my hand and arm. I was in a big boom of drawing and I may have totally disregarded any warm-ups or stretching. It's still far from debilitating, but I definitely gave myself a few days after my last video to just make no art. I think I needed it, and the remaining strain is not bad at all, though it does remind me to take breaks so I'm not working in an arm brace later. Stretch, people, please. I don't know if layer effects are like cheaty. I guess I have access to them, but I wound up using more of a vivid light filter for the lighting with that bright red. The base character is all of the colors without the effects, at least, and I didn't vary from them for the background this time like I did the last time I did this challenge. I decided to name the character Melanie after some consideration. She is a relatively casual player, but I imagine she just absolutely decimates. The red lighting just makes her look almost evil and intimidating. For some reason, I imagined her as like maybe the rival character in some sports anime style plot where everything is way too serious and it's also esports. It's gotta be a thing at some point if it isn't already. Her tag is also melon_collie, which is already probably so taken, but this is a fantasy world where she got it, okay? If that is your username or gamer tag, I guess this one's for you. It's one of those ones that also contains part of her name, but it's like if someone saw it, they wouldn't immediately realize and just think that it's the word melancholy. But that's my final piece for this week. This is probably the longest that I've spent on getting one of these challenges in particular done, and I really like how the character turned out overall. She seems unique, interesting, and mostly intentional, I think, even in her colors. I hope that you liked this video. Make sure to give it a like if you did like it. And hey, thanks if you're coming back from that wave of subscriptions last week. I really appreciate the support, and I will keep up with Pokemon videos, I promise. I just like a little variety in my art challenges, obviously. If you are new and you want to see more fun art challenges, be sure to subscribe. I'm actually really close to 200 and I'm super excited. At that though, I'll leave this here with Melanie, and I'll see y'all next time.